let's do the sound check before you start talking about babies and how much
We're not talking about babies.
I'm done. All right.
Yeah, we're done.
We're going to do a little sound check here.
We enjoy other people having kids now.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. I'm good.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Good.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Good. Everybody's great. Okay.
You're louder than me. That's good.
Me?
You see like a little. Yeah, you did good. I feel like I'm gonna be
All right. Whenever you're ready, we can start.
Mark introduces, and then I'll introduce you, and then we kind of just have a conversation.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it is.
Easy.
Just like we were
Yeah.
talking when we came in. You know.
Sounds good.
Welcome everyone to this episode of the Steeples and Peoples podcast. I'm Mark Meriday, and I'm here with Terry Meriday, my host, longtime partner, and the one who keeps me on the straight and narrow, to be quite honest with
There
you.
go.
Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Mark. We are here at Perfect Truffle today with owner Cody Marwine, if I could talk. I haven't had enough chocolate today yet, so maybe if I had some more. I'm having chocolate for breakfast.
We can fix that.
Coffee and chocolate.
Yeah, we're at 25 North Market Street, across from Isabella's. We all know where Perfect Truffle is, hopefully. Thank you, Cody, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We want to know all things Perfect Truffle today. So, a little bit about you before Perfect Truffle, your background. You grew up in the area?
Yeah, so I grew up, went to Linganore High School in Mount Airy, graduated in 09 from Linganore High School, and then I left and came back many times to this area, but I went to school up at Chocolatier of America in Hyde Park, New York. After there, because student loans are so wonderful, I moved back home.
Amen.
Moved back home, and I found Randy Olmstead, the original owner here, when he was over in Chaparral, and worked with him for about a year before leaving again to go work out over at Carlton, and then work in New York City for a while, and then came back here many times in between before actually fully coming back here full time.
When did you buy? So Randy was the original owner. How long? When did
He
it
owned
open?
it from 2005 to
Okay.
2021, and
Oh,
then I
wow.
purchased it 2021 in January of that year.
Oh,
We had been working on me purchasing it for a while,
sure.
and yeah.
Just paused it. Okay. You want to write the time or anything?
No, I got it
We're
right
good.
there.
It paused it. Good enough.
Got a phone.
And we paused it. Or yeah. I mean, try not.
It happens.
We don't edit, but it does.
That's my favorite part of it, and especially since it's part of the video.
We want people to see what goes on behind the scenes.
Sure.
Okay, ready.
All right, and go. So you were working on it, purchasing it for a long time.
So, because during the right before actually COVID happened, I left New York City, came back here, and that's when we really started to work towards, can I purchase it? What makes sense? So I've been working here full time, and COVID happened then probably about 2 years later, a year and a half later, after I moved back, and that's when I was like, okay, what are we doing?
Right.
I came back then, like after we had closed for about 3 months. I was working by myself here. Would open the shop up for like 5 hours at a time in a day, or just whenever someone wanted stuff, they could shoot an email, and
yeah.
that's just how most of us were doing it. But then, so in 2021, finally we were able to finalize everything, and I could take over fully. But prior to that, I had been pretty much running the shop for about 3 years prior.
Was it prospering?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Was it prospering during COVID for you guys? I mean, I know everybody was purchasing online, curbside, and everything, but like, how was the impact?
Yes, it was. It was also, we were running with very little staff. It was myself, and then we had one other person. We slowly got back up, but we had very little staff that we were running for a long time, and that's the only way it could really work.
I was gonna say, what's Randy doing now?
Enjoying retirement.
Retiring, good. That's what I was.
I meet up with him usually every so often, every couple months or so,
Right.
for some coffee, and it's pretty great.
Still pick his brain?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how did you become interested in chocolate making, or that you kind of like ended up here out of all the different chef or creating opportunities?
Well, I started in chocolate because I was in school, and like when you're or at CIA, when you're there, you only have a class for 3 weeks, and everything's very singular minded as far as a class went. So you do 3 weeks of bread, you do 3 weeks of cookies, 3 weeks of chocolate, 3 weeks of
very focused.
yeah, very focused. But that's all. You only have 1 class a day for the most part, so it's pretty nice. But at the same time, doing 3 weeks of chocolate only, or 3 weeks of really anything, you only get like a little taste of it. And for like in a chocolate class, all you do is you make your fillings, you temper your chocolate, and then you hand dip it. And you do hand dipping pretty much for the majority of the class. Hand dipping with a fork. Think of basically putting something on the end of a fork, dipping it into a liquid, taking it out, doing it again, doing it 1,000 more times, and that's what you do for the entire day. It's not super enjoyable at that point.
I can't imagine.
So, and then just working with it in general, chocolate's very messy, and it wasn't a very fun, pleasurable thing to do at first. But that's why I wanted to come work with Randy originally, is because I wanted to learn. I wanted to get more
I think
comfortable with it.
there's more to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I ended up in fine dining for a long time at some Michelin star restaurants up in New York City. And then being in restaurants, you're working from 10, 11 o'clock in the morning or so till 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. And it just gets to be very draining, very tiring. So I always wanted to do something else, still in the food industry, whether possibly doing baking or anything, going into a bakery or something like that. But this kind of also fell into my lap some, and this allows me now to be 10 to 5 pretty much, roughly, during Christmas season a little bit more. But then I still have a lot of creative freedom, and this store is now allowing me to do a lot more different items. It's not just chocolate anymore. We're doing a lot more different things now. So.
Aside from being Frederick's version of Willy Wonka, what's your favorite thing to make? Like you were in the restaurant business.
I mean, really, right now it's ice cream. Ice cream sorbets is really what I'm enjoying a lot more. Do I enjoy making chocolates? Yes. I also enjoy doing some other small confections, and that's what you're starting to see at this shop a lot more now.
Do you have ice cream now?
Yeah.
Or is it gelato? It's ice cream.
Ice cream, sorbet.
Sorbet, yeah.
Shaved ices.
Oh.
Yeah, I've kind of.
I actually just noticed that on the sign. How recent did you put that up there?
Media.
So, shaved ice and frozen mousse bars started. Now this is our 3rd year doing them.
Okay.
Last year I did frozen mousse cups. This year though I was able to buy machines, so that's when ice cream and sorbet took part, along with the ice cream sandwiches from Maple and Rye. I used cookies from her.
Nice.
So for me it's just expanding what we can do as long as I can fit it into this very small space.
Yeah. This is a very doable, workable kitchen though. This is very neat, clean, organized. I can imagine you get a ton of stuff done just because you're not scrambling around to find stuff.
Yes, it's just like we don't have ovens here, so it's like you're limited what we can do.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
And that's where we partner with other businesses for that if we need anything else baked wise. Just because heat and chocolate doesn't really mix.
No, I can't imagine. Let's talk about truffles, okay? I am a chocolate connoisseur myself. I like to prevail that. If I have my choice of just about anything that I can get my hands on, I'd rather have some chocolate. So, what makes a truffle different than other types of chocolates?
So, with a truffle, it's basically a creamy ganache center. So, ganache is chocolate, cream, butter, fruit puree, and then it started out as because it was a hand-rolled confection. So it was ganache that was hand-rolled, coated in cocoa powder or powdered sugar. It looked like the mushroom truffle. That then slowly changed to be what you see now, where it's a molded shell that's really colorful. Technically they're called bonbons now, or pralines, depending on if it has a nut filling in it too. But at the end of the day, they're pretty much all the same. It's just the shape of it.
They're so pretty. I've noticed that. Like, they're so perfect.
We were perusing the webpage,
I know.
and Terry's like, "Oh, look at
I'm
that!
like, look at
Oh,
this.
look at this!"
They're like pretty.
But in terms of what the difference is between like a truffle versus say a nougat that's chocolate, like you would have like a Three Musketeers bar, that has glucose, sugar, maybe some egg whites, but then it's being whipped.
Yeah.
Versus just a chocolate bar is just your cocoa nibs or cocoa beans ground up with cocoa butter and sugar in it, maybe some milk powder.
Got you. Take me through the process of making one. Like, you come in, boom, you punch the clock, it's time to rock, you're making some truffles.
So, start out with a mold. If we're making the molded version, take a mold, airbrush it with colored cocoa butter, or paint it on with a paintbrush, or sponging, or using like a finger swipe with like basically anything technique-wise you can use with paint, you can do with cocoa butter. It just dries a little faster. You then mold it with chocolate, so you put a chocolate at a certain temperature into the mold, and then let it sit for about 30 seconds, dump it back out, and then you're left with a shell.
Oh.
Then you can make your ganache filling, so heat your cream to a boil, pour it over your chocolate, maybe have some sugars in there for additional shelf life. Then immersion blend that together so it's a nice homogeneous emulsion. Let it cool, pipe that into your mold, or into your shell.
Yeah.
Then let it sit overnight so it can fully set, but also so it can contract some. And then the next day you can then seal it, and then it can be unmolded.
When you're making these, how many? Is it just you? Do you make them singularly, or is somebody making the ganache? How's that work?
So we have right now. I've got myself. I have another full-time and another part-time employee that helps produce, and then depending on the time of year, we're pretty much always rotating kind of what you're doing. So one person's spraying, one person can be molding, one person can be making the ganaches. So it can flow very, very nicely. It doesn't really make sense to make just one piece at a time. So usually we're making 300, 400 pieces, 500 pieces at a time. Otherwise it's just not cost effective.
Sure.
The big guys, they can be making 1,000, 2,000
sure.
pieces of just a single flavor at a time, possibly more, depending on the equipment size that you have.
But it's not as authentic coming from those guys. They've got big machines. One of the beautiful things about Frederick, a business like yours, is that it has an authentic touch because somebody is making it from the local community and putting back into the community with it. So,
Yes.
if I had a hat on, I'd tip my hat too.
It's also the quality ingredients that you get. So, just the quality of chocolate that you're using, or the amount of preservatives that have to go into some of the larger stuff. Because something like Hershey's, for Halloween, say, they're already well into producing all of their chocolate. It's already being produced back in January.
Ooh.
Because by the time it gets made, packaged, then it needs to get
distributed.
Then it sits in their warehouse for a little bit.
Country.
Then it gets sent to distributors.
Mm-hmm.
Then from distributors, it goes to the grocery stores. So right there, you think about how much time it is, and it's already on shelves now. I'm pretty sure.
Hence why I could go to Walmart right now and buy a bag of, pumpkin
But then
Reese's.
buy a dozen when I leave. Like, when were those made?
It can vary. Some of them were made last week.
Yeah.
Some of them were made 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Some of them made probably a month ago or so. But that's also because you can freeze them. If you freeze them correctly, it doesn't hurt the flavor. It doesn't hurt the texture as long as you freeze them properly. Because there's no other way that I could get all of the chocolate done for, say, Christmas, which is our busiest time of year, because we also have corporate orders as well. Without that, trying to make enough chocolate to sell for the same day is not possible.
When do you start production? I'm sorry. When do you start?
Well, wait. Before you say that, the store. How do you store them and freeze them when I take them home for me, or for you?
If you're buying them and storing them for yourself, just take them home, put them on your counter away from direct sunlight, or in your pantry. Hopefully, you're eating them relatively
Pretty
soon.
quick, right.
But regardless, the shelf life on them, you have a couple weeks to eat them. It's really fine. You don't, even if you eat them 3 weeks later, it is okay. 4 weeks later, it's okay. We're formulating our recipes so they have a nice shelf life.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you're buying 15 of them, if you're letting them sit for 2 months,
right. I can pop them in the freezer and take 2 out a week or something. How do you?
If you were doing that, I highly recommend individually wrapping them basically in saran wrap multiple times, then putting them in there. But the thing is you want to let them freeze slowly. So you want to put them in your refrigerator first, then move them to your freezer.
Okay.
And then same thing in reverse, and then they'll come back to room temperature. Will it hurt them if you just take them out, let them sit on your counter for 30 seconds or a minute, and then eat them? No. It might not look as pretty.
That's what I was
It might
thinking.
get some. It'll get condensation, like your glasses will fog up. Same thing will happen on the outside of the chocolate.
All right, then you were asking about Christmas production.
When do you start that? Yeah, sorry.
Back to that. It was like 1,000.
Christmas production. I'll really start. We'll start ramping up production towards the end of August, early September.
Wow. Sure.
But that's also because all of our corporate orders we see come in for basically being shipped by beginning of November. At the same time, all of our advent calendars have to be done. So in order to have enough chocolate just for those, we have to start for them. Because also, September we get busier. October we get busier. November we get busier. So it's a slow rolling process of getting everything going. And yes, are we starting fully production mode in August? Yes. Is that chocolate lasting till November? No. It's just it's being replaced with stuff that's being then made in October.
Yeah.
But we have to start moving a lot faster come August.
Let's get back to those advent calendars.
Yeah.
So you have advent calendars. That's when you open the door and you get the chocolate?
Correct.
Okay, so it's chocolate bars or is it truffles or what kind of choices
truffles.
do I have?
It is all
my
truffles.
Gosh.
25 different ones.
Right.
They'll probably actually go on pre-sale sometime in September.
Oh my gosh.
I get asked about them constantly already.
Yeah, I have no idea. Now guess who will be getting them?
And they do sell out.
I bet.
They're able to be picked up shortly after or before Thanksgiving. So if you wanted to take them before Thanksgiving to someone, you can. But they're a pickup only thing. I don't ship them.
Sure.
Just because they're just in high demand.
So just on an everyday basis, maybe like today, I see you have a beautiful display. Like how many flavors usually have available, just ballpark, at one time?
About 20.
Okay, good.
About 20 of them every day available. We usually have 8-ish or so that are dark chocolate, 5 to 6 that are milk, 5 to 6 that are white. At the same time, 2 to 5 of them are always non-dairy / vegan friendly.
Nice.
That for me is a very big thing to always have on hand.
Sure.
Is non-dairy vegan friendly items.
You change seasonally, I imagine.
Yes, I have.
Some...
I have 18 flavors that are pretty much my core flavors: strawberry, cherry, vanilla, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, salted caramels. Those are kind of like my core flavors. They're always going to be around. I try to always have all of them. I don't always.
Sure.
Come Christmas time, they're a lot more available because summertime I have a little more free time, so more things randomly get made, flavor-wise. It's also my time that I'm experimenting with different things. And then the seasonal flavors, there's like 4 kind of that always are just changing. So like right now, creamsicle, pineapple sage caramel are out right now.
Fall, you gotta have some pumpkin.
Pumpkin always comes out. Pumpkin basically that comes out October 1st. I don't make it before. I think it's crazy to have it earlier. And we have it October 1st, and it kind of runs till Thanksgiving. I try not to have excess after Thanksgiving because no one wants pumpkin after Thanksgiving for some reason.
I'm a pumpkin
Mark's
guy, so when I start seeing pumpkin stuff, like
it's very like when
September
school
to
starts,
November, and then
September to November, pumpkin coffee, pumpkin truffles, pumpkin candles burning.
For me, it keeps getting earlier and earlier, so I've just now made it just a thing where it's just October 1st as pumpkin comes out, and it runs till like Thanksgiving. Otherwise, for me, it just comes too early sometimes.
Yeah, I could see that. A lot of people are like, I hate that. Just do like you're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at your sales for 1 year. What is the most popular?
Salted caramels.
Salted caramels.
Salted caramels, 5 to 1.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow.
And it like last week we ran out of salted caramels, and it was a very big disappointment for all.
They were like picketing out front.
Well, because people come in and they'll buy singly just an entire box of that, or they'll buy an 8-piece, but 4 of them will be salted caramels.
Right.
So we pretty much always have those on hand, usually 99% of the time. That gets precedent over anything. So like Old Bay right now is a big one coming out, or it's out now for all of summer. Unfortunately, if salted caramel has to get made, it's in the same mold. Salted caramel gets the precedence.
Old Bay and chocolate, like that's
It was a thing that Randy started, and now I have to continue it. It's also Maryland.
It's like in the
It
contract.
is very
It's in the contract.
So it tastes Old
You
Bay
can't
differently
stop
though.
this.
It's
Sure.
milk. It's in a milk chocolate caramel, and it has a very sweet complexity in the first place. When you eat it, it tastes like just all the different spices come out for what's in Old Bay. It is very unique and very different. At the same time, I don't push it on anyone. There's a lot of people that come in from out of state or from a different country, and they're like, "What's Old Bay?"
Sure.
Don't get it. It's just because they didn't. Most of the time, they don't understand what it is fully, and I don't want someone to be disappointed.
Sure.
So usually with like that kind of flavor, where like any of my more unique ones, I don't necessarily push those on people because I want you to enjoy the chocolate at the end of the day.
I'm closing in on living more of my life in Maryland than anywhere else, so I definitely am.
Mark is, you are immersed in
like,
the Old Bay.
Yeah, like if we go somewhere and eat and I get wings, I want Old Bay.
What did you just got Old Bay on something. Oh, crab legs.
Oh yeah.
You got crab
Yeah,
legs,
always.
and you just like no. I mean like Alaskan king crab leg. Old Bay does not belong
What's
on
wrong with
Alaskan king crab.
That's how I felt.
It
It's
didn't
still crab.
belong.
I love it on shrimp.
Just steam and butter. Okay, whatever.
I like them on fries.
We'll agree to disagree. Yeah, he puts them on fry. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not submersed yet. I do like Old Bay. Sorry.
Okay.
Love Maryland. Love Frederick.
Let's talk your chocolate bars a little bit. Different flavors,
So, chocolate bars. So one big thing is I'm a chocolatier, not a chocolate maker. So the difference is I take chocolate that is produced somewhere else and then I make it into other things. So the truffles, nut clusters, peanut butter cups, different barks, stuff like that. I do sell chocolate bars here that are packaged as mine. So I've taken chocolate, melted down, add a couple different things to it, crushed strawberries or almonds, coconut and almond, things like that. I do though carry about anywhere from 70 to 100 different craft chocolate bars from other makers. These other makers are buying beans in and then they are roasting, grinding, and making the chocolate themselves. Most people though do one or the other. They don't do both just because of space, time, money. A lot of people don't do both. I cannot produce as good of chocolate as they do in their bars. Also, I can't produce the range of quality-wise or range of flavor-wise or different origins that they have.
Yeah.
So I'd rather showcase them and be able to showcase a really awesome product, and also it supports the farmers a lot more because these makers are paying a lot more for their cocoa beans than the large-scale producers of chocolate do.
You just taught me something. I didn't know that there was a different. Well, I didn't
We're learning
even
the
think about it.
language.
Chocolatier is somebody who gets somebody else's chocolate and kind of forms it to their own liking.
Yes.
And then somebody who's a chocolate maker is just, So what we call, let's go back to Willy Wonka. What we call Willy Wonka a chocolatier or a chocolate maker?
For me, I'm calling him a chocolatier / confectioner
Okay.
because he's making lollipops and gummies and all that kind of stuff. To me, he's more a confectioner and chocolatier than he would be a chocolate maker.
I don't know if you could tell, but that's one of my all-time favorite movies. The Gene, what's his name?
The first one, Gene Wilder.
Yeah, Gene Wilder, not the.
Oh yeah,
Johnny
we
Depp
like the
one.
first. Well,
Yeah.
we both like Johnny Depp. So you have a bean to bar tasting experience. So you can walk me through. Can I come in with a group, individually? How does that set up?
So-
And kind of what is that experience?
So you can do up to 6 people, or I will be happy to come to your house or some other place too.
Ooh.
We can always arrange that as well. We can do them anytime that we are closed. So basically in the evening, 5, 7 o'clock at night or so. But we spend about an hour talking about chocolate, where it comes from, how do you produce it, how do you actually make the chocolate. And then we taste 5 different bars from the other craft chocolate makers. And it's 5 different origins. Primarily, I focus more on the dark chocolates, just because you can taste the different chocolates a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then we also taste different percentages of different bars. So we taste a 60%, a 70, a 72, an 85%, maybe 100. And just kind of go through that and just why are they different? Why does a Peruvian taste a little bit different than the Dominican ones, or from Tanzania, or from Vietnam. So they're all very different, and it's a great way to showcase the different bars, but also because people don't realize how different.
It's like
chocolate
wine
is.
taste. It's a wine tasting, but it's chocolate.
Wine tasting.
I love that.
Do you
Same-
pair?
I do not, because
Oh.
I
Spin
can't.
the- this is how
I could not
spin
hear.
the bottle collab if I ever heard of it.
I could not hear. If we did it at your house, certainly could. At the same time, I recommend only really drinking just water with it, because
That's true.
you introduce wine or beer and like that, and that just
Changes.
influences everything differently.
Yeah.
For me, like wine pairings at a dinner, it could be the most spot on wine pairing for a dish that I've had, but then the person next to me is like, this wine doesn't work with this dish. I'll only try the one from two ago. So it's so subjective in the first place that for me, I'd rather focus on one singular thing, especially because most people also, your palate gets fatigued very quickly.
Yeah,
That's why we only
wine.
taste 5 bars, because after 5, pretty much more than that, you're not going to taste the difference between them.
I can tell you that if you set a public beverage in front of me and chocolate in front of me and said, make a choice, you only get one, I'm going chocolate.
Yeah, I'd go with the alcohol.
That's what sets us, that's
No,
why we
that's
work.
surprising.
And
Sorry.
yeah,
That's
and
real.
something like a high proof alcohol, like a bourbon or rum or a rye or something, like that, it's gonna kind of almost, it doesn't burn your taste buds, but it kind of burns your taste buds to where you can't taste.
It's not going to be enjoyable
Yeah.
for
Right.
both. Nice. So these seem like good gift options, maybe wedding favors. I even just come in and I'm going to a friend's house. I want to buy a dozen or something. Can you tell me the different kind of gifting option boxes, sales, they have number of size? We can buy one. We can buy a dozen. What?
So for like weddings, we do 2-piece boxes.
Mm-hmm.
We could have them monogrammed, or we can just get a sticker put on top of them, a little gold ribbon on top of them. They're always wonderful. 2 pieces, it's a really just nice little takeaway gift for everyone. Or for say a party, a hostess gift, 8-piece, 12, 15, 24-piece boxes, my largest. Really kind of depends on your price budget. We can always work with what you have, or if you wanted us to put out a tray of chocolates, we can always sell them loose to you, and you can just get as many or as little as you want. We sell it as little as 1 piece at a time. So
So we just kind of come in and buy 2 and eat them as we walk around downtown.
Exactly.
That's always an
We
option
haven't
too.
done before we walked out
We
the
haven't
door.
had the ice cream yet, so I'd
No.
like to come back for that.
Now, we talked a little bit about, you had mentioned some partnerships. Who do you work with then? Like,
So right now, I don't do wholesale anywhere. I only sell the chocolates here. Pretty much every so often, I'll get some other people that'll do small things. Across the street, Atomic 57, they're the new beer and wine
Mhm.
store in
Yeah.
town. They're doing a chocolate and beer box and wine box. It's a small little gift box.
Oh, perfect.
Or over.
And who was making your cookies? You had
Oh,
somebody
for
that-
cookies
like
for
the ice
for ice cream sandwiches, Maple
Yeah.
and Rye
Nice.
is making our cookies. In Bloom Jewelry, they're doing some chocolates every so often for people when they come into their store.
yeah, so you've got your
Oh,
hands
good.
into the mixing pot.
That's
with-
like
Yeah,
how y'all
with
work,
other
like
people.
many
But
businesses
we're
work
not really
together.
wholesaling fully. Like I don't have a case set up anywhere else. Instead, I chose a couple of years ago to get out of all the wholesaling, and then so now I can do shipping, and also just do more fun things in the store too. Because when you're doing wholesaling, it's just so much more work.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you're going to be here long hours, which you got away from being a chef in New York City. To
Mm-hmm.
get-
I mean, the first year, I pretty much made everything along with ran the front as well, and then I did have 1 or 2 more staff members that helped, but I was here about 15 hours a day, 6.5 days a week. So I'm glad not to be here as much anymore.
Now you got that new
but-
baby you want to spend some time
Exactly.
with.
The quality of life in the
Can't
food
miss
business,
that.
people don't realize in the food industry, including this, everything. It's a lot of hours. I was in that industry. I graduated with a degree in that industry, and I was working way too much, like you said, and I didn't want to buy my own business. I liked catering. That was my thing. I like catering.
And that's what's coming.
Yeah.
You know how much you're gonna make, and
Yep. All right, share your days and hours of operation and all your social media and website for us.
So hours, we're open 7 days a week right now. Monday through Thursday is 10 to 5. Friday and Saturday is 10 to 7, and then on Sundays is 12 to 5. And then you can find us on Instagram at perfect.truffle. Facebook is also perfect.truffle. And then website, perfecttruffle.com. You can find also all of our flavors on there that we're currently making. Not necessarily that we're always going to have all those flavors, but we're currently making all of them. And then also you can order for shipping on there as well, or for pickup. If you want to avoid the lines, especially the holidays, pre-order for pickup is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Cody.
It's been
I
exciting.
learned a ton.
Yeah, I did. I learned a whole boatload of stuff that I never knew.
Thanks.
Not only chocolates, but a lot about truffles.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do for our community. We'll be back.
Perfect. It's a great episode.
Wow.
Really
That
good
was
episode.
fun. Have
Thank
you
you.
done any other podcasts?
I've done you
Funny
guys,
people are doing.
Chefs Without Restaurants.
Oh, he's our friend, our neighbor. He lives 3 doors down.
So
He's a great guy.
he-
that'd
he's
be
wonderful.
great for
Yes,
you.
I did one a
Chris-
while ago with him.
Chris Spears.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
always
fun.
we're always talking and
He's a
stuff.
great guy.
And then Beer Realtors, I just did their short little one with the spicy burger up at 50/50.
Oh, fun. They were there for, what are they called?
The Bearded Realtors.
Bearded Real, yeah.
They're
They were
at Chris
doing
Gatewood.
Old Mother when we were there. I've
Yep.
been hearing their name. It's fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot
So
of
because
local-
50/50 Burgers there, so that's where they're
What
kind
do
of like
they
close to.
do?
Bearded
Like,
Realtors.
what's their focus?
So just kind of just getting to know people and just coming in,
People
just
in the
talking with,
community?
yeah, just short 5, 10. They're doing reels with them,
Okay.
so they're a lot shorter. They're also doing longer podcasts.